On March 19, 2025, Ukrainian model Maria Kovalchuk was found bloodied and barely breathing on the side of a remote Dubai highway, just left there like she was nothing. At first, it sounded like a tragic, isolated incident, but the deeper you look, the darker it gets. Word is her brutal injuries came after a night inside a high-end VIP suite, allegedly tied to a powerful Arab sheikh. But Maria's story was just the tip of the iceberg. Since then, disturbing whispers have started to grow louder. Stories of other Eastern European models who were flown in under the promise of glitz and luxury, only to vanish or come back broken. These weren't just wild party nights gone wrong. Behind the velvet ropes and five-star glamour is something way more sinister. Rumors, shady hostess jobs, and a network of elite men who seem completely untouchable. The kind of powerful people who don't just hide the truth, they erase it. Maria surviving might have cracked the silence open, but now more names are surfacing and the questions are piling up. What is really happening behind the scenes in Dubai? And how far does this rabbit hole go? Let's get into it because this story, it is only getting darker. The last time anyone heard from Maria Kovalchuk was March 9th, 2025. She had messaged her friends, all excited, saying she was going off to some exclusive party in Dubai. It was being held at a luxury hotel, and she was going with two guys who claimed they had legit ties in the modeling world. To Maria, it sounded like a dream. Glitzy setting, big promises, and all the right connections. She even told her mom the next day, "Mom, I'm in this fancy hotel. The party is amazing. I met people who can really help me get ahead." And then, nothing. She never showed up for her flight to Thailand 2 days later, and that's when the panic set in. Her mom, Anna, didn't waste a second. She filed a missing person report and reached out to the Ukrainian embassy in Dubai, desperate for answers. But the days dragged on with zero updates. Maria had seemingly vanished until March 19th, 10 days after she disappeared, when she was found. Left like trash on the side of a remote desert road, within an inch of her life. Her spine was shattered, her body covered in bruises and broken bones. She had no phone, no passport, no ID. Whoever did this to her clearly didn't want her found. They wanted her silence. She was rushed into emergency surgery, clinging to life. After 4 intense operations, some miracle, she survived. But it was clear this wasn't just some random cult. This was meant to erase her. The second her mom got that call, she dropped everything and flew in from Norway. She didn't care what she had to do. She just needed to be with her daughter. Maria eventually woke up, but she couldn't speak. She was conscious, aware, present, but locked inside of herself. No way to tell anyone what really happened in that high-end hotel suite that turned into a living nightmare. And while all of this was unfolding, the Dubai authorities dropped a statement that honestly felt like an insult to everyone's intelligence. They claimed she trespassed into a construction site and fell alone. No foul play, nothing to investigate, just an unfortunate accident. But that explanation didn't sit right with anyone. First off, if she really fell at this construction site, how did she end up on the side of the road miles away? Someone had to have moved her, so why didn't they get help? Why did they take her phone, her passport, her ID? And why would she even be at a construction site in the first place when she told people she was going to a hotel party? And here's where it gets even more confusing. Now, the people who were supposedly organizing that party say that they never saw her. So she told her mom and friends she was going to this fancy event and then just disappeared without a trace? That just doesn't make sense. Nothing about this adds up. Maria's mom, her friends, and a growing number of people online are calling out the gaps in this story. And more people are speaking up about what actually goes on at these so-called VIP parties, the kind that have nothing to do with modeling or networking, and everything to do with power, control, and silence. And the more you look into it, the more it feels like Maria's case isn't just a one-off. It might be part of something way bigger and way darker. When Maria's story first hit the internet, it blew up. Russian media and social platforms were on fire with theories, some wild, some terrifyingly believable. Right away, people started suspecting the worst, that Maria had gotten caught up in something way darker than just a bad night out. A lot of folks feared that she'd been or forced into some twisted situation disguised as a glamorous modeling opportunity. The fact that she didn't have her passport or ID on her just made it all the more suspicious. Her family even spoke out, saying that they worried that she had been kidnapped and possibly over the course of several days before being dumped like garbage on the side of the road. Yeah, it's that bad. But what's even more chilling, some sources are saying Maria had been at one of those infamous ultra-exclusive parties hosted by insanely rich sheikhs. Not the glamorous champagne and celebrities kind. No. These are the ones that people only whisper about online. The porta potty parties. Influencers, only fangirls, especially from Eastern Europe, get flown out and paid obscene amounts of money and are expected to do degrading, sometimes disgusting things. We're talking stuff that honestly sounds more like a horror story than reality. These women are paid from $25,000 to $100,000 just to be put through absolute hell. We're talking about women being having their teeth out, their heads shaved. Yeah, that level of depravity. It sounds like something out of a film, right? But this isn't fiction. This is what's being whispered in forums, leaked in DMs, and quietly reported by outlets like AOL. The sick part, the prettier and more popular the girl, the higher her price tag. They aren't punished for being beautiful, they're auctioned off for it. Some pull in 6 figures for one night. But what they go through to get that money? Unspeakable. And people online aren't ignoring it. They're connecting the dots, realizing this isn't some isolated scandal, it's a pattern, a system, one where women are used and then silenced. Even some lawyers like Kataya Gordon have started pulling back the curtain. She's going on record saying these closed parties involve way more than just partying. We're talking blackmail and a whole network that protects the monsters behind it. She warned girls, women, and their mothers, don't go to such events for money. You could even get killed. Radha Sterling, CEO of Detained in Dubai, also spoke out, sharing that they've gotten complaints from influencers and performers who were promised big gigs in Dubai, only to be tricked into parties where they're expected to participate in unspeakable acts. We have received a number of complaints from influencers and artists who have been invited to Dubai for performances and events to then be lured into parties where they have been expected to participate in activities. Outside of marriage has been legalized in Dubai, and events organizers have been quick to take advantage of these new relaxed laws. Women need to be aware that they may face confronting and even dangerous situations. And if there is a married man involved, they can still be charged with adultery. And it's not just influencers or models getting pulled into this mess. Lawyers, doctors, women with degrees and dreams, if they've got the right look and just a little ambition, they're fair game. Lured in, used, and left to pick up the shattered pieces of their lives, while the men who orchestrate it all walk away clean, shielded by deep pockets and powerful friends. Sterling gave the chilling example of Apprentice star Selena Waterman. Back in 2012, she was living in Dubai when she was abducted and for 4 straight hours by 3 men. She did the brave thing and reported it to the authorities, but instead of support, she got silenced. Disbelief. The system tried to bury her story, not her attackers. She didn't back down, and only because she's fought tooth and nail for justice were those men finally convicted. And then there's Roxanne Hillier, a South African woman who was literally thrown behind bars for adultery after she apparently spent time alone with her male employer. The twist? Medical records confirmed there wasn't even any intimate contact. But it didn't matter. She was foreign, she was female, and she got caught in a system that doesn't care about the truth, just image. And if you thought that's the worst of it, there's Ekaterina Steryusku, a Russian model, young, beautiful, full of hope. She took a modeling gig in Dubai that seemed too good to pass up. A dream job, they said. But that dream turned into a horror show real fast. Her boss started getting way too handsy, touching her, making inappropriate moves. She shut it down, but instead of backing off, he got aggressive and invited her to a hotel apartment under the pretense of work. But she could tell something was off. She didn't even touch a drink. And that's when it got scary. According to her, he completely lost it, grabbed her, pulled out a knife, and picked her against the wall, demanding she undress. She said she was terrified and did what she had to do. Then, in a last-ditch effort to escape, she broke free and literally jumped out of a 6th-floor window, half naked, just to survive. Miraculously, she lived. She landed on an awning and was rushed to the hospital. She needed 2 surgeries and had to get a titanium plate put in her spine. And after all of that, she was the one arrested. Yep, her boss accused her of trying to and because she supposedly grabbed the knife for a second during the struggle. So yeah, after surviving a literal attack, being seriously injured, and almost dying, she was dragged out of the hospital and thrown in jail. Sterling didn't sugarcoat it. She said, Dubai's justice system routinely fails victims of violence, especially foreign women. Many are too frightened to report crimes at all, knowing they risk arrest under outdated morality laws that criminalize outside of marriage in certain locations and adultery regardless of consent. Some victims are drugged in hotels, wake up traumatized, and are told by police they'll be arrested if they report it. Yeah, it's that bleak. And when you look at Maria's story through that lens, the missing pieces and the weird silence suddenly make a lot more sense. But here's the part that keeps coming back like a bad shadow. This guy, let's call him Michael Smith, he's not in the spotlight, no model status, no flashy profile, just a European expat who slid into Dubai's nightlife scene a few years ago and found his niche. Word is, he is the middleman, the fixer, the guy who knows how to find the right girls from Eastern Europe, says all the right things, modeling gigs, luxury events, VIP parties, and hands them off to the rich and powerful like party favors. And it sounds like Maria crossed paths with him and believed every word he told her. But he's not the only player in this story. Another name keeps surfacing, Adam Collins, another European expat supposedly well established in Dubai. Maybe he owns restaurants, maybe he runs private services, no one really knows. What's clear is that Adam swims in high society waters. He's allegedly one of the key organizers of those infamous ultra exclusive parties, the kind of parties where women are brought in to be seen, not heard. There's a strong chance Maria ended up at that party because of Adam too. That's how this machine works, a tight circuit of well-dressed, flashy promises, and secret back doors. It all moves fast, so the girls don't realize how deep they've fallen until the light is gone and there is no way back up. And at the black heart of it all, the so-called Sheikh. No name, no records, just rumors and shadows. Older than Maria by at least a decade, maybe more. Rich beyond belief, private jets, yachts, beachfront mansions. Some say he's bloodline royalty. Others think it's all a front, but everyone agrees. He's protected, shielded. Whatever goes down at his parties, it stays buried. Some say he was looking for a European wife. Others say control was the only thing he ever wanted. And then there's Maria, a 20-year-old girl from Lviv, Ukraine. She had big dreams and a growing platform as an OF model with over 20K followers on Instagram. She wasn't famous, but she was on her way up. And then came Michael and Adam, men who claimed they had connections, men who sold her a fantasy and walked her straight into a nightmare. She got pulled into the orbit of someone so powerful, his name might never come out. Someone with enough money to make the truth disappear. The timeline is patchy at best, but what we do know is that the last time Maria was seen alive and okay was around March 10th, 2025. She told her mom she was heading to a private party. She sounded excited, hopeful even. She thought she was finally meeting people who could change her life, and they did, just not in the way she was expecting. It's said that Maria had caught the eye of the sheikh who promised her a royal time. The party took place in a skyscraper hotel with a VIP floor reserved exclusively for the wealthy and powerful. You couldn't even get up there without a special key card. Here's what we know from the bits and pieces that have slipped through the cracks. Staff who were around that night said a few model-looking girls arrived with men speaking a mix of English and Arabic. They were all laughing, posing for pictures, having a good time. It looked like just another over-the-top VIP night. Nothing seemed off, but that's how these stories always start. The party, or whatever you want to call it, apparently raged on until almost sunrise. We don't have official reports, no leaked interrogation files or statements, but lawyers and bloggers who've looked into it say some hotel workers did hear screaming and chaos, but no one stepped in. Why? Because it was a closed party. VIPs only. Outsiders were not welcome, not even the hotel's own staff. And security often handpicked by the guests themselves. If you're not invited, you stay silent. When housekeeping returned to that floor in the morning, everything felt off. The men were gone, some of the rooms were empty, and the girls vanished. On the far end of one corridor, staff reportedly found signs of a struggle. Furniture knocked over, women's bags, heels, even a torn dress scattered across the floor, but no one touched a thing. One wrong move around an influential guest, and it's you who gets buried, not the truth. Then, over the next couple of days, it became clear Maria, along with a few other girls, had completely disappeared. No social media posts, no phone calls, just silence. It was one of Maria's friends, Angelina Doroshkova, who finally raised the alarm. She'd been invited to the same party but trusted her gut and flew back to Russia instead. When Maria stopped responding to calls and texts, Angelina knew something was wrong. That's when the nightmare really began. In Dubai, girls go missing more often than people want to admit. And unless you're somebody important or unless government steps in, the police, they don't move fast, especially not when the names tied to the case carry weight. Maria's disappearance was treated no differently until the Ukrainian embassy stepped in and started applying pressure. But in the end, it wasn't a rescue mission that found her. It was a random driver. He spotted her barely alive, discarded like trash on the side of a highway. What had she been through in those missing days? Still a mystery. But her body told a story that her mouth couldn't. Bruised, broken, discarded. There were whispers that she'd been thrown from a moving car. Just another piece of evidence someone wanted gone. But here's the part that really chills you to the bone. She might not have been the only victim. There's talk of another girl. She reportedly went to the same party and was never heard from again. No posts, no calls, no trace. And while no body has been found, people close to the situation say she didn't survive that night. That's when a darker picture starts to form. The so-called sheikh wasn't just some powerful man looking for a wife. Rumor has it he surrounds himself with a private harem of foreign women, trapped in a luxury cage, a playground for the elite. And if one of them dared to say no or tried to break free, the punishment is brutal. Some say this whole operation ran like clockwork. Models funneled in, silenced, discarded. A Russian outlet called Life described these so-called sheikh parties as dark markets for women looking to make quick cash. Russian-speaking models from the CIS countries are especially targeted. The pay? Tempting, at about $500 for attending. But the requirements? They sound like a list from a modeling agency. 160 centimeters tall, toned physique, perfect skin, just the right amount of Botox to keep things natural. Age, 23 or under. And behind the glamour, the reality is darker. Many girls end up trapped, forced into a life of modern day especially for those from Russia and the CIS countries who came looking for an easy life and found nothing but a nightmare. Unfortunately, Maria was one of those girls who fell into the trap. As of now, there is no word on her condition, but hopefully she'll be able to speak out soon and help bring those responsible to justice. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian police have opened a human trafficking case, and a pre-trial investigation is in progress. The law they're digging into doesn't just cover trafficking, it also goes after anyone who played a role in recruiting, transporting, or hiding victims with the intent to exploit them. So yeah, they're taking it seriously.
Whether they have jurisdiction over it depends on the law in Ukraine, but a country has a responsibility to look out for their citizens. Maria is a Ukrainian citizen, and so if she were the victim of a violent crime, they likely would have some jurisdiction over the incident. And also, just the fact that the Lviv or national police in Ukraine are moving forward with an investigation will hopefully put more pressure on the police in Dubai and the investigators in Dubai to do a more thorough investigation.
But here's where it gets murky. No suspects have been named. No solid leads have been shared. It's quiet, too quiet. Still, there is a sliver of hope that this investigation might start peeling back the layers of what is really happening in the UAE. Because let's be real, if this kind of thing is going down there, it's probably probably not just limited to Dubai.
If, in fact, she did attend one of these parties, one good thing that could come of this case is raising to light that this is going on in the UAE, and likely if it's happening in the UAE, it's probably happening in some of the other Gulf countries as well, and it's something that endangers young women like Maria.
But what do you think? Is there any real shot at justice for Maria, or is this just going to be another case swept under the rug? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. And if you thought this case was dark, just wait until you hear what we've got coming up next. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video.